storage. So let me go ahead and refresh this. I had to delete some stuff. But um like I was saying, so my partner, he lays out after we do this, and I kind of just go deeper with the text because I'm not a swimmer, so I'm not getting in that pool. And we like getting out here early because the pool technically doesn't open till 10, but we like just sit out here because they gotta like clean it and stuff, and it's before, you know, like the families and kids come out here, so we can just be quiet. But today, July 23rd, cooking with the fruits of the spirit. Today's one, and this is coming from our daily strength for couples, and I got this from Walmart. Walmart has the best devotionals. Y'all should really, like, when you walk back there to the book section or like near the register, they always have them out there, always on sale, and I always try and get one, and I give them to people. People probably think I'm crazy, but if you just crack one open and just, it's a little bit for your journey. If you're just especially trying to spend more time with God and don't know how to do it, they're very effective in helping you know how to do that. And hopefully, these videos will help you too see a different way if you're trying to figure out, you know, how to spend time and with the Bible and God and get closer. Maybe my methods could help you, and you could try them and see what works for you. So, bitter roots. Look after each other so that none of you fails to receive the grace of God. Watch out that no poisonous root of bitterness grows up to trouble you, corrupting many. Hebrews 12:15 NLT version. What we see is often determined by the unseen. While we see only a plant stem and leaves, hidden underground, it is a complex, life-giving root system. These roots are anchors for the plant. They keep and take up water and nutrients from the soil and propel them to the stems and through the leaves. Healthy roots make a healthy plant produce good fruit. In the Hebrew culture, a poisonous plant was called a bitter plant. The writer of Hebrews uses this metaphor to warn the church against the poison of bitterness in the heart. Hatred, hostility, cynicism, resentment, and anger can become flourishing root systems in the heart that feed the spirit with bitterness and poison others. We must watch carefully for poisonous roots. Bitter roots produce bitter fruit. Question time. Have you allowed bitterness to take root in your heart? Is there anyone you need to forgive or an offense that you need to release to God? Are you upset with one another? Talk about all of these bitter roots. So, fortunately, like, we got to agree, like, we're not really upset with one another. When we have agreed, God has blessed us with a beautiful relationship so where we can talk things through and come to a consensus in a beautiful, loving way and talk about, you know, the depth of these things and understanding each other and stuff like that. But we did get to talk about our own bitter roots in our lives that have been holding us down or we've experienced. And one that I particularly had spoken about with him was that before we met, I had gone on like a 2-year healing journey, a little bit longer than that. It was after my divorce, and I realized that I was starting to become really cold and paranoid and all the things that I wasn't before because of what had happened, especially in regards to men. I started looking back over my life and looking back over the men in my life, and not just relationships, but like my father, my brothers, men that I felt had disappointed me in different ways, and I'd become bitter. And my best friend had pointed out, and I was like, oh, I don't want that. Like, that's that's not guarding my heart, you know. So I decided to get a male therapist, specifically a black male therapist, because I wanted healing in that, and especially with, at the time, one of the most challenging relationships that was reflective of all of this, which was work has always been a safe space for me, and something I could control because I could be the best at it. How much time I put into it, you know, I could cultivate what I need to cultivate. But being the cheerleading coach, it was this football coach that I had to work with, and he just did not respect the sport. You can tell. Like, many people say they do, but they don't understand that cheerleading is a form of spiritual leadership, especially in high school, middle school, and in the younger years, because spirit is not something that's created. It's something that, to motivate someone, to reach into someone's heart and to motivate them and support them to, push through the challenge, that is something that requires spiritual leadership within you. So when you face challenges, you know how to communicate through them and how to work as a team and how to build confidence in others while, providing confidence in yourself, but also walking that line of humility and understanding grace and humility. And one thing about him, he just, every opportunity I tried to sit down to try and talk to him so we can make events happen, because he was the one that loved to say, like, oh yeah, we can work and do all this and throw, the people that throw out ideas. But when it's time to actually get to work, they just expect you to do it. And I'm the type of person that I'm not going to do everything by myself. Like, you're still going to give me input of things you want, and we're going to work together. But you have to make time to sit down and talk about these things, because you're not just going to put your name on the project. So even this year, it was forgiving. But I'm a lady, so I do it with cool and tact and dignity. But we had our powder puff football game. And I remember after the hair set out, the email was like, oh, thank you to this coach and Coach K for putting this together. And I replied all, I said, thank you so much. But I do want to make it clear that cheer, specifically the leaders on my team, the community outreach leaders on my team, planned this event and did everything. So that's who this credit deserves to go to. So please, let's make sure that we did that. But that was a different time. But anyway, I was supposed to be the cheer coach this year, but that didn't happen because he became the next athletic director, and they want to go a different direction, which I completely respect. I'm happy for the opportunity because I finally get to put my area of focus where I've always wanted, with my life coaching business, my etiquette consultation services, and my financial coaching and financial literacy classes that I host, and events and seminars and all of those things. So I'm still processing how things were done, because fortunately God provided me a way to do everything the right way. So I've been protected through, this transition, which I'm so grateful for. I'm able to sit out by my pool and relax my day and do devotionals on YouTube. That's a blessing. When I used to have to work from 6 a.m. to and I get home till almost midnight, stressing over different things. And so I'm blessed for that. But I definitely forgive him and everyone that had a hand in it, because I'm a woman of integrity, and I love that God has given me the gift to help guide young women to being young women of integrity and of God's own heart. That's something I don't take lightly. And the fact that was the reason why I was dismissed honestly makes me proud in knowing that I'm always for God, and I'm always for love and for compassion and kindness, but I'm also for teaching and leading young women to know that when you take on the role of being a support system, especially for a partner, and particularly for men, because this was something that he and I didn't see eye on, that I felt like we we kept missing in conversation. We never had the time to sit down. Is that I'm not just coaching a sport, neither are you. We're coaching the next generation of husbands, wives, partners, co-workers, bosses, entrepreneurs, athletes that have to work with other people, that have to understand teamwork and partnership and how they effectively go hand to hand. And what a lot of football coaches do is they forget that sometimes. I don't want to say a lot, so scratch that. But what masculine energy that can be by sheer force or brawn or muscle can forget that the spirit is just as important. It needs to be valued and protected. And in the physical form, that is very feminine energy. And that was my role that I took as coach. I understood that, and I'm cultivating women to know what is acceptable, what is unacceptable, and how to support. But that love requires healthy boundaries as well. Because there was a challenge one year where the football players were very rude to the cheerleaders, would call them names out their name, would bully them on the internet, would just, like, when the girls would support them after the game, they would call them names, be rude to them. And so when I brought it up, I'm thinking, I'm going to let the men handle it. This man, this is team, but I'm going to make my grievances known, the challenges, and nothing came of it. And so we stopped going to certain games. And that is because at the end of the day, like, as hard as that was, especially me learning through my divorce, that loving someone requires loving yourself too. At no point do you take abuse and still support and push through and do all that. You can very much, God says once you make the offense known, you give them a chance. But if they continually keep doing it, God's not going to allow his beautiful, precious daughters to sit there and continue to be abused. So it happened. There were a few challenges in different situations like that. But even in that, I'm proud because my girls, when I see them now out in the world, because a lot of them I got to put my hands in a lot of lives, to know that they got the advice that I felt like I should have gotten at that age, of how you can still be a lady. You don't have to be boisterous and loud and bang on your chest and show brawn and show this in this hard, world that will convince you that femininity is weak. There's a strength in being able to sit and articulate yourself and be able to leave when it's time. And I'm glad that I haven't allowed bitterness to take root in my heart, because God also blessed me with a trip to be able to support my best friend and see love and be surrounded by love and experience brand new people and new things. But the character of anyone who calls themselves a spiritual leader, it's important. And people don't realize that cheerleaders, that's why they have the spirit. They're the spiritual leaders in an academic environment. And that's why, like, they got two stereotypes, and we know what they are. But being able to look at today's really let me see that allowing bitterness in your heart is a choice. And it's an easy choice, but a hard choice at the same time. It's easy to give into it, and it's very hard to not give into it. And I'm glad that even though it's been challenging and hard, that I'm still making the decision every day to choose love, to choose compassion, to choose standing on integrity. And that I wish everyone the best. I wish everyone the best. And it's been hard. Because, like, I really wanted to sink into bitterness after my marriage, but seeing what was on the other side, to have such a beautiful relationship now, it makes it all worth it. And it's like, to get the opportunity to do that, for God to move in my life that way, I can't imagine what's on the other side of letting go of bitterness that could have easily set in my career in this way. And I'm just grateful that the opportunity to finally operate in this soft life of walking with God in every step of the way. It's been challenging. It's been a lot of crying, a lot of yelling, a lot of crying out. But it's been worth it. And every day is getting better and closer. And there's so many people along the way that I get to minister to, and I get to hear their stories and see their lives and have understanding of why things in my life happen the way they happen, when they happen. It's beautiful. It's like it's been unveiling mysteries. It's like a movie where you don't know what's happening in the beginning, but then the plot starts unfolding and pieces start coming together and other characters get introduced and they start unfolding the story right before your eyes. But when we get wrapped up in bitterness, we put blinders on and we can't see the whole thing. It's like when you start watching, you ever watch a movie with somebody and they're so caught up on one thing in the movie that they can't see everything else going on. You're like, no, you gotta watch the whole thing. And they just want to stop right there and turn it off. That's life. And one thing that reminds me to always step in love and light is Romans 8:28, and I'm going to keep saying it. All things work together for the good of those who love God and who are called according to his purpose. And I've known that about my life and the lives of anybody he brings into my life. Anybody and everybody. It's all by design. Nothing is by mistake. So look after each other so that none of you fails to receive the grace of God. Always remember to walk in love and compassion, virtue, and integrity. And virtue isn't pointing out the finger saying, oh, you doing this wrong, or doing any of that. It's being the example by choosing to live your life the right way so that it is undeniable that God has his hand in your life. Watch out that no poisonous fruit of bitterness grows up to trouble you. Let it go. Let it go so God can put in your hand something even bigger and better. Because He can't put anything in your hand, but you're still holding on. And that's why I can't be bitter. I'm happy because even though I was still holding on to just a little bit, it was still too much for God to be able to put everything in my hands the way He's doing now. Don't allow bitterness to corrupt you, because it corrupts many. It makes you cynical. It makes you resentful. I was all of it. Angry. I was so angry that my liver was shutting down on me. And that's when I decided about 2 years ago, like, I have to start creating a plan to transition into this soft life because my body is shutting down. I have to mentally and emotionally and spiritually release the bitterness that I'm trying to sit in from feeling wrong, from feeling unfair, hatred, hostility, any of that. Don't let it grow in you. God wants love and peace and joy and self-control. He did not give us a spirit of fear and anxiety. He gave us a spirit of love and self-control. And love is not codependently, excessively giving from an empty cup. It's acting in compassion. It's paying attention to those around you, so they know how much they not only mean to you in your lives, but how much they mean to God, and holding them up in that. And that sometimes requires boundaries and hard conversations. But the hard conversations, you always can take time, and it's worth it. So, y'all have a pleasant Sunday. We are really cooking up with the courtesy crew. It pays nothing to be kind. Well, it costs nothing to be kind, and it pays something to show yourself and the others around you a little courtesy. So, bye, courtesy crew. I'm about to enjoy the rest of my Sunday. The sun is finally coming out, so I love you. God loves you too. Don't ever forget that.